What are we even watching?
Welcome back, my React homies. Today we are reacting to Our Crocodilians OP by TierZoo. I wonder, as an Australian, I'm gonna have to go with the crocodiles on this, but let's get into it. Is that a special move, barrel roll? What the hell? To be fair, they say crocodiles have like such a force when they like flip and do that, so I'm just thinking I'm gonna up the quality. He used confusion, it only worked on himself.
There are several factors you can look at to determine where a build belongs on the tier list. Do they have any uniquely overpowered abilities? Are they responsible for major declines in the player bases of other factions? Do they have good matchups against other top tiers? These are all important, but another good indicator is how long a build's core strategies and stats have stood the test of time. If a build has managed to succeed across multiple balance patches and new game expansions, that's a great indication that it dominates a highly stable niche in the meta. For example, dragonflies have been one of the top builds.
I do love that even though there's so much more than they used to be, crocodiles are still like really OP on the damage tier.
Controlling the airspace above swamps and lakes since the Carboniferous expansion. By the same token, sharks have been the dominant marine force since before the terrestrial servers were even added to the game. And while not quite as old as either of these factions, Crocodilians have also had a dominant hold on the same niche since even before the dinosaurs, having survived several of the harshest updates the game has ever seen. Despite this, I don't think any players are
the game of life.
all that surprised at the Crocodilians' extensive domination record. I mean, this is a build which combines downright busted stats with arguably the most effective strategy in the game, resource camping. So today I'm going to break down all of the important features of the Crocodilian build and the strategies that they use to win games. Every build has its strengths and weaknesses, so my goal with this video is that it'll be useful as a guide for Croc players trying to optimize their
Okay, you can't see behind my giant head, but look at his derp eyes,
gameplay, but also for other players that need help countering the Crocodilians' infamous strategies. This video is meant to apply to both crocodiles and alligators, because even though there are a few subtle differences between the builds, overall their game plan is very similar. Alright, so first, the Croc's biggest strengths. First and foremost is their—
How dare he put alligators and crocodiles together, I can't believe this.
Bite attack. The Croc's bite is the strongest in the game, able to one-shot most low to mid HP targets, and deal serious damage even to the bulkiest players. One important thing to note is that this bite deals crush-type damage, making it one of the few attacks in the game powerful enough to overwhelm most defenses. Even the high-level armor seen in builds like the Turtle and Armadillo aren't enough to stop it.
Did he take out that truck before this? What the hell?
But as powerful and damaging as the Croc's bite is, Crocodilian players actually aren't optimized for direct damage. In fact, most tank builds can recover from a single bite without much consequence.
That hurt. That looks like it hurt so bad.
The Crocodilian's strategy revolves around being able to bring down large targets, usually ones that have a high enough base HP to survive several powerful attacks. That's why, despite having the strongest bite force in the game, in terms of pure DPS, a Croc's bite is surpassed by sharks, due to their serrated, blade-like teeth. While a Croc definitely could spec into this type of tooth, for the relevant matchups, the crocodile's curved conical teeth are more useful. These teeth make the crocodile's grapple much more difficult to break out of, and this is where the crocodile's ability to take down tank builds really shines through, as their infamous grapple combo, the death roll,
Got him on the face, though, right on the mouth. This is why I used to have nightmares about crocodiles as a kid. Right?
Is one of the most powerful attacks in the game and can tear through the HP of even the bulkiest players. Let's continue with the Croc's other strong points. The most important ones are going to be the two abilities they use to maximize their effectiveness in the water, for both stealth and mobility. First, their rudder-like tail grants them a massive speed boost while swimming. This is what shifts many a matchup
Look like a fucking speedboat going at them. Oh
in their favor when in combat in the water, as most of the Croc's potential targets easily outmaneuver it on land. And second, their nostrils and eyes being situated on top of their heads grants them a unique ability to remain almost completely hidden underwater while still remaining vigilant of their above-water surroundings, and allows them to keep their stamina topped up by not forcing them to hold their breath. Alright, now let's get into the Croc's weaknesses, and then discuss—
Yep, crocodiles are really sneaky. They blend in so well too with the colors.
Optimal strategies and counterplay. The Croc's biggest weakness is its reliance on water. This isn't that big a weakness, as just about every player needs to visit a watering hole at some point. If your party migrates, you'll most likely need to cross a river at some point in order to find more food. But even if you play as a non-migratory build, you'll likely still need to top up your thirst meter every so often to avoid serious stat debuffs. Still, it is a potential vulnerability. If the water in your preferred server begins to dry up, an occurrence that has become more and more frequent in the Anthropocene meta, this can greatly increase the difficulty of your gameplay by removing your stealth and mobility bonuses. Crocodiles don't respawn
Look at all that fat little croc not being able to move.
in the water, and instead must build and protect their nests on shore. Objective defense is always a tough portion of any player's questline, but doing so in a vulnerable state is even more difficult. Another big weakness is the reliance on the death roll combo to score kills. Even though it's a guaranteed kill if the full combo finishes, executing the entire move requires uninterrupted focus on a single target for a significant period of time. As with most grappler builds, this leaves the user quite vulnerable to attacks from your target's party members. So how can Crocodile players best mitigate this weakness? And how can other players best exploit it? So for Crocodile players, the number one thing you need to prioritize during an attack is dragging your target into deeper water. This accomplishes three things. 1. It separates the target from their party. 2. It puts them into a position where their mobility is reduced because of the negative terrain modifier from water. And 3. It inflicts the drowning status effect, quickly draining the target's stamina and reducing the number of opportunities they have to counterattack. Of course, this isn't without risk. Dragging a target requires a lot of stamina, and if your stamina runs out while your target is still struggling to get
Grab his nose! Oh my god!
free, they may escape, or worse, counterattack. You can mitigate this by attacking alongside other Crocodilian mains, as they can help you drag away your target quicker and reduce their chances of escape even further.
What the hell was
Of course,
that
this
buffalo
means you'll
doing? Just like going ham into the sea of crocodiles.
be splitting the loot, but it's worth it for bigger kills. For you non-Croc mains watching, obviously the absolute best strategy is simply to be large and or strong enough to resist being pulled into the water. If you're the one doing the pulling, the Croc player isn't going to continue their attack for long. But if that's not an option, there are still a few tactics you can try to make your odds more favorable. The first is avoiding deep water. If you need to cross a river or find a spot to drink, you'll be safest if the Croc would need to drag you a great distance to get you somewhere you couldn't stand. Plus, it's a lot more difficult for a Croc to hide in shallow water, so you'll be less vulnerable to surprise attacks. If you're a player with the ability to fly or to climb, you might assume this advice doesn't apply to you, since you can stay out of reach of a Croc attack. However, one thing to keep in mind is that the Croc's rudder tail ability has the secondary effect of granting it a greatly increased attack range while in deep water, as it can launch itself a considerable distance to strike targets above the surface.
It yeeted for that bat snack. Just went yoink.
This is a relatively slow and highly committal option though. So my advice to flying players is that if you need to approach the surface of the water, keep moving, as striking a moving target would require a pretty insane read on the part of the Croc player. It's not impossible though, so don't get greedy. Next, I recommend staying with a tight-knit party that's willing to fight alongside you. As mentioned before, the Croc's death roll combo is vulnerable to being interrupted. So if your teammate is being attacked, you may be able to
The pig was like, nope, not today, not today.
save them even if your attacks don't do all that much damage. Of course, there may be other Crocs around, so you're taking a risk in doing so, but still, Crocs really can't do much other than flee to deep water if they're being attacked from multiple directions, so coordinated attacks are paramount. This advice also translates for any player trying to loot crocodile nests. This is by no means easy, but since the Croc's nest will be on land, the lack of their mobility bonus will make the Croc less capable of catching you. The best strategy is to continuously bait out attacks, luring the Croc out into the heat. Eventually this will daze the crocodile, allowing you to loot their nest uncontested. If you're a Croc, don't worry though, there are ways to better protect your nest. Making sure there is a patch of shade close to the nest is important to avoid being dazed from the heat exhaustion status effect. Another surprisingly powerful and underutilized strategy is to ally with bird players who also nest in the sand. They can protect your eggs from being looted by the more nimble players, while you can protect their buried eggs from being stomped on by the larger players. Now, one piece of advice I see tossed around is the
When the birds and the crocs team up, who can stop them?
idea to spec into abilities that would make a crocodile less reliant on water. things like longer legs, replacing claws with hooves, and so on. These ideas have actually been tried in the past, and have never really caught on. I get a lot of tags on Twitter asking to mention how overpowered terrestrial crocodile builds were. However, I think history shows the opposite. The two main times terrestrial croc builds have surfaced have been during the most chaotic, underdeveloped metas. First, during the Triassic, aka the expansion that followed the most heavy-handed series of nerfs and bans the game had ever seen, and the Paleogene.
Just the nerfs and bans. Love it.
Expansion that followed the mass ban that removed dinosaurs and pterosaurs from the game. Both of these instances were at a time where the previous top-tier Predator build had been banned, and every faction was taking a shot at trying to control that niche. In the Triassic, builds like Postosuchus were great at terrorizing the Synapsid player base. The top-tier Synapsid, Lystrosaurus, was dominating the meta, so having a good matchup against them meant a free top-tier spot. However, these terrestrial proto-crocodilians quickly lost their top-tier status as the more mobile dinosaurs started competing. And in the Paleogene, almost the exact same thing happened. Galloping crocodilians dominated the early meta, but once the mammal player base started competing for the top-tier predator spot, once again, the croc player base couldn't keep up and was forced back into their traditional aquatic ambush role. So yeah, sorry Cheetah Gator fans, you can try again after the next major balance patch. But for now, there's no shame in sticking to the tried and true game plan crocs have perfected over the past several balance patches. They're undoubtedly a top-tier predator, and I can't see their placement on the tier list changing anytime soon. Hopefully this video did a good enough job covering the Crocodilians' optimal strategy and counterplay. Much of the footage featured in this video is from a documentary called Caring Killers.
Caring Killers. Can you feel the care in his eyes right there? The absolute care.
Film which explores the Nile crocodile build's hunting prowess, but also focuses on showing off the dedication and intelligence demanded from crocodile mains as they guard their respawn points and help new croc players get started. It's an impressively interesting documentary, and goes into a lot more depth than I'm able to do in a single YouTube video.
It is crazy when you actually see that barrel roll pulled off, like the power behind it. It's insane.
If you're interested in watching it, you can gain access to Caring Killers, as well as thousands of other high-quality nonfiction titles, by signing up for CuriosityStream. The subscription is only $2.99 a month, or you can get a full year's membership for $14.79. So yeah, full year CuriosityStream subscriptions are now 26% off as long as you sign up using the link in the description of this video. And if you use that link, you'll also get free access to Nebula, a streaming platform owned and operated by YouTubers including myself and dozens of other awesome creators. Nebula is a place where we get to create awesome, high-budget original content, including an exclusive TierZoo Let's Play video featuring one of the most unique insects. So go check it out. Last but not least, thank you to my patrons
Insane.
over on Patreon, and sorry for the lack of uploads. But I promise there's a lot of fun stuff coming soon. Till next time, good luck out there.
Dun, 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 dun. But you know the rules, and so do I. An ad within an ad. Don't forget to like, subscribe, ring that bell, check out the member services. They're pretty pog. And I'll catch you next time, my delinquents.